Hey, welcome back to Video Game Movement Study. Today we're going to talk about a game that I've wanted to talk about for quite some time actually. Ever since the game came out, I've been super obsessed with it. So without making things any longer, we're going to talk about a lot of the movement that the game has to offer, and I'm going to teach you how to use it and how it can be applied. Oh, and before I forget, if you're a speedrunner looking to find all the techniques and tricks quick, it will all be in the description. And speaking of descriptions, all of my information will be down there. You can follow me on my Twitter, my TikTok for occasional movement stuff, and like and subscribe. And with that, let's get going. So if you're new here and you know nothing about Hi-Fi Rush, the first thing that you'll notice is that everything is in time. All your animations and button presses are in sync to a timer that's shown at the bottom of the screen. So our protagonist here, Chai, has normal 8-way direction, just like any other 3D game. His jumps are fairly simple. It has a very high startup and initial speed as soon as you press the button, as you can see here. And his double jump isn't really for too much height, but is for more keeping yourself suspended in air. When it comes to these super basic movements, it's really easy to get used to this. Up next in his movement little tutorial, he has these little small dashes. This right here is his single dash. The dash can be chained in multiple times in succession, so long as you're keeping up with the rhythm. Dashing is going to be your main form of movement around the overworld and even in the combat later on that I'll show you. This dash can be used up to 3 times before you start getting this in lag shown right here. Now let's take a quick little look at the dash being used in succession. Now you're probably thinking that this dash is a little slow and clunky to be your main source of movement in this game, but you can speed it up, and I'll show you how. When you use your dash attack, it allows you to cancel the in-lag animation on the 3rd dash. See how considerably faster that was than letting the animation play this whole cycle? Now if you put these two things together, you'll start to see how fast you can actually start moving around in this game. This is where the rhythm aspect comes in with the technical prowess of this game, where you have to actually pay attention to the half notes so that you can cancel it properly and continue your dashing. So along with the 3-dash animation cancel, you can also animation cancel off of the 1st dash. This trick is a little bit trickier. All you have to do is start your attack and then dash afterwards. A good indication that you got this is by listening to the game, and every time you do it, the crowd should be yelling "hey" every time. Also, I find this really funny to listen to. It's honestly one of my favorite parts of the game. So obviously you can put the dash and a jump together and it allows you to dash in the air and then double jump afterwards, like so. Doing this is fine, but it won't get you over every last gap in the game and allowing a little bit of sequence breaking. There is another technique. By starting your jump and then dashing roughly a couple frames or like a half note before, it allows you to get this dash jump that can happen. And as you can see from my many mistakes, this trick is a little hard to do, and especially hard to do in the middle of a run. So if I slow this down, you can kind of start to see how it looks. The jump starts first, and then you dash right afterwards, and then it allows you to do a double jump afterwards, and potentially another dash because it never registered your dash as in air. This is of the first techniques that I recommend you learn and spend a little bit of time practicing, because it is used several times throughout the game in the platforming sections to speed it up a little bit. Now let's take a break from me talking, and I'm just going to show you it being used. Now let's take a look at this trick one more time. This is a prime example of it being used to skip this whole little going around section right over here. This right here is another example of the trick being used, but it's a little bit hard and you can actually just die there and it'll put you to the next plane. If not, you can make the whole jump too. If you're a real gamer, that is. This next technique that is very necessary that you learn is dash jump storage. So essentially after you fall off, you can dash back and jump at the same time, and for some odd reason the game stores that jump input so you can use it with another movement ability to make yourself double jump when you're not supposed to. And this is what it looks like when you have the storage. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard to tell when you have the storage. To me, it doesn't seem like there's any sort of indicator. So I recommend you take this trick to the lab and practice so that you can kind of get a feel of how you would recognize you have the jump storage. And this next little part is it being used in action. So these are the main movement mechanics that you're gonna need to learn in order to speedrun this game. So let's move on to the fighting mechanics, shall we? So everything that you learned in the base movement will actually be applied to in the fighting mechanics. So basically all the dash mechanics that you learned earlier will be used here to help you move around the battlefield much more efficiently. Now don't be discouraged when using the base movement in the battlefield because it can be a little hard keeping up with the timing and also keeping up with the timing of what the enemies is doing and what you were doing. So let's take a look at some of your attacks that you can do. You have your basic light attacks, all of this which is taught to you in the tutorial of the game, so I won't be going too deep into it. And then you have your heavy attacks, which are every other note that they come out. These attacks follow the rules of all like animation and game feel sort of rules, where if it's a heavier attack, it will move slower. And then next you have your assists. So what the assist does is based off of the character that you have selected, but a lot of the assists in this game are very narrative and linear to help prove the point in the story, so they're not super useful. Also, if you hold the assist button, they do different actions. Most of them are like CC, so like lockdown, crowd control, stuff like that. And then the last sort of like hitbox you have are your specials, which can be interchanged through the menu, and they are cancelable in the everything. When it comes to speedrunning, you have to use this in a very specific way because it does lock you into a cutscene little animation, so choose your poison when using it. So if you noticed earlier that there is a little big hit timer at the end of your combos, you'll notice that you get locked in your animation pretty hard during these. But you can cancel it, and guess how you cancel it? Yes, with your dash, of course. Remember how I said dashing will be your most important thing? Yes, even in combat, you can dash cancel literally everything to keep you safe in battle. So if you're about to get hit, you dash. If they're far away from you, you dash. If you're dashing, you dash. So there is one instance where you'll want to use your grapple hook instead, and that's just if you push them too far away with your combo ender. Instead of dashing forward, to keep the momentum, you just grapple hook towards them and then continue comboing. So that's about all that the combat has. Dashing is your best friend, so let's just look at a little bit of combat in action. So as you can see, keeping all the mobs nicely corralled up so you can just hit them with one big AoE move is typically your best bet for these fights, except for the ones that have shields and stuff. Okay, so it's that time of the video where we review what we had learned today. First up, we have the dash attack cancels to continue your momentum and speed while moving around in battle and in the overworld. This is the first thing that you should learn and spend time practicing because you will use this technique in every part of the speedrun. Next to learn is the infinite single dash chain. You won't really need this all too much. This is mainly just to keep the rhythm so that you don't break the rhythm while doing your overworld movement, but still pretty useful to learn. Then you have the dash jump. This is very necessary to get over a lot of the cliffs and hills much faster, but there is another thing you can do. And that trick is the Coyote Jump Storage. This trick is more for the higher vertical distance rather than the horizontal distance, but this trick is very necessary to learn. I recommend you practice this because it's one of the harder ones. And the last thing you should learn is the combo finisher cancels. This is one of the more important techniques to learn to pilot Chai efficiently while speedrunning the game. And after mastering all these techniques, you will be ready to start speedrunning efficiently and clean when it comes to the overworld and the battle mechanics. Okay, I appreciate you making it this far to the video. I really do hope that everything I've taught you so far helps you with your endeavors with learning how to speedrun this game. And if you're more into the glitches and skips for a lot of the levels, this game has plenty of it outside of just the base movement. If you want to know more about that, I'll be linking the Discord to the speedrun channel, as well as all the other information that you might need. This game is still pretty new, so there's a lot of stuff showing up still to this day and a lot of skips being found. So if you're into strat finding and all that fun stuff, be a good help to the community because we all need it. This game is relatively mid-level for speedruns up until you get to the part where you have to do major skips, and then it starts to get a little bit harder from there. This is still a really highly recommended speed game, especially if you love rhythm games but also wanted some action put into it. And this is especially so if you're a fan of games like No Straight Roads, where you wanted more musically inclined action put into the game. And with that, if you're a movement enthusiast and you love video game movement just as much as I do, I ask that you like and subscribe to my channel and smash that follow button on my Twitter, which is actually more updates about a personal project that I'm working on. So if you're interested in that, I suggest you give that a follow too. And follow my TikTok for shorter form movement information about various games that I just want to talk about and very small excerpts about what the movement has to offer. So as always, remember to have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.